6 years later, guys, the 2020 M1 MacBook Pro is still one of the most talked about Apple laptops ever made. And honestly, I can understand why. Because on paper, this thing is old. It's an old design, old webcam, old port selection, and yet people are still buying it used, still recommending it, and still asking the same questions. So here's the real answer. Not the nostalgic answer, not the Apple fan answer, the real buyer's guide answer, guys, the real buyer's guide. So who should buy this and who should absolutely not buy this at all? And then there's the one thing that surprised me most after using this. So what's up, everybody? Hey, what's up? What's up? So today we're going to talk about the M1 MacBook Pro, the 2020 release from Apple. So this is a laptop that basically started the Apple Silicon as we know it. So this was a pretty big hype, not gonna lie. I literally bought this on release day, which was crazy. I counted down the days. The hype was very high and the hype was real for sure. So when this first came out, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of ridiculous how much better it was than the competition. Yeah, I mean, laptops, marketing and things like that. Obviously, yes, everybody's like, I can beat this, we're gonna beat that. Yes, I understand that. But the hype with this was actually real, especially if you're for productivity uses. Oh my gosh, it was crazy. Loved it. Now we've had the progression of the M series. So now there's an M2, the M3, and the latest release of the MacBook Neo, which is all the hype right now. But because of that, the M1 is still a very valid candidate, especially on price point. So the question right now is the M1 MacBook Pro still a valid buy? Or if you're just buying into the old hype. So in this video, we're going to break down the design, the real world performance, battery life, the stuff that feels great about it, and then the stuff that definitely feels dated. And then by the end, I'll tell you exactly who I think the M1 MacBook Pro would be for. And then also who should probably skip it altogether. So the first thing that hits me, honestly, with the M1 MacBook Pro is that it still has a very, very premium build, premium quality feel to it, which I'm not gonna lie, a lot of MacBooks feel that way in general, other than the Neo. I have heard a lot of complaints that it feels a little bit cheaper, but at the price point, I get it. And it feels, the M1 MacBook Pro feels better, like right when you touch it, you just get that premium Apple feel, which is very pleasant, because a lot of older laptops age very badly. The chassis start to feel cheap, like the keyboards feel mushy, and then like the screen starts to look dull after a while, especially compared to like the newer stuff. Insane. And then the whole experience from typically older laptops just feels old in general, especially performance wise. That is probably one of the biggest things that stand out. But this still feels very premium. Feels like a MacBook Pro, if you know what I mean. The aluminum body still feels really solid, and then like the trackpad still feels very elite. And that's probably one of my biggest things that I enjoyed most about the MacBook Pro, the M1 MacBook Pro, is the trackpad. The keyboard is still really nice to type on if you like Apple's keyboards, which it's really nice to type on, but I still prefer my keyboards. And then for the display, while not cutting edge anymore, but it still looks very clean, very sharp, and very usable. It is honestly a great display. Now, does it scream new? It's new. Absolutely not. It does not scream that. Although MacBook products, like the feel, the look, the aesthetics, don't vary that much. So in my opinion, if you hold the M1 MacBook Pro from 2020 and then you held like the 2020, one of the MacBook Pros now, it's gonna feel very similar. But if you compare it to the newer MacBook Pros, the newer MacBook Pros have like the more flat-sided Pros than theirs. But the premium absolutely still feels 100% premium. So let's talk about design. So design is where it starts to split people. So on one hand, it is a very well-built machine. It's got no flex, it's got great hinge, it's got a great keyboard, great trackpad, and it still just feels like a product that Apple put a ton of care into. But on the other hand, this is very clearly from an older lineup of Apple products. You've got thicker bezels than newer models. You've got this 2 Thunderbolt ports. You don't get MagSafe here, and yes, you still get the touch bar. Now for some people, the touch bar is a cool extra. For me, it's mostly just fine. I enjoy it, but it's not necessary. Like if you would have got the M1 MacBook Air rather than the Pro, because the Air didn't come with the touch bar, which take it or leave it. I mean, that's your opinion. I don't hate it, but I definitely wouldn't miss it if it was gone. It was definitely one of those things that felt more like a design experiment than like a must-have feature. But is it a cool idea? Is it a cool concept? Is it aesthetically pleasing? Absolutely. So the ports, I can complain about the ports all day. This is probably one of the biggest downsides for me. The lack of ports on this thing. I had to buy a dongle, like a dock for this. There are 2 Type-C ports, and then you have one 3.5mm headphone jack port. That's it. So it feels really restrictive. So plugging in a bunch of external peripherals and things like that, it's very limited. So if you don't buy a docking station or a hub or something to go along with it, which I use, you're limited, very limited. So if you did buy one, I would highly recommend picking up like a hub as well. So the M1 MacBook Pro still feels very premium, but it also feels like a premium laptop from the previous generation. So now this is where the M1 MacBook Pro still earns a lot of respect, because the features that most daily users rely on most are still very, very strong. First, it's going to be the keyboard and trackpad. Still excellent. Easily one of the best trackpads out there still today. 100%. I've been using this thing since 2020 every day. I use it. My wife uses it for work a lot. I do video editing on it every now and again. My kids use it, and this thing is still solid. All corners work, the feedback, everything's great. Second would be the display. So it's bright, it's super sharp, it's cold accurate enough for a lot of people, and it's honestly just pleasant to look at still after 6 years. And no, it's not the best screen that Apple's ever created, and it's not like a $5,000 monitor that they have, which is insane. But for like work, media, editing, browsing, school, this thing is gonna hold up very well. Not gonna be disappointed. So third is gonna be battery life. I'm a battery junkie. I don't like plugging crap in all the time. I hate to do that. I like things to last at least throughout the day. So battery would be one of the biggest reasons why the M1 MacBook Pro has aged so well. The efficiency of the M1 chip literally changed everything. This was that moment when like people realized that Apple Silicon wasn't just good, it was amazing. And it was a massive shift. And then there's the overall smoothness of the Mac OS. Like the apps open fast, the system feels fluid, it's very responsive. And for like a regular day-to-day use, it still does not feel like a struggling laptop at all. This thing does not stutter. I've probably had to do a hard reboot a handful of times over the last 6 years. Would not complain at all. But don't worry, because in a minute, I'm going to get into where that starts to break down. Because there are definitely limits you need to know before you go out and buy one. By the way, there will be a link in the description for some on Amazon. Amazon's one of the cheapest places you can find one right now. But if you want to get one, hey. So let's talk about real world performance, because this is going to be your make or break section of this video. So if your day looks like Chrome tabs, media, YouTube, a little bit of streaming, Zoom calls, music, maybe some light photo or video editing, the M1 MacBook Pro is still very good. And honestly, actually for that kind of user, it's probably more than good. This is a no-brainer laptop, because even if you bought it today, I guarantee you this is gonna last you for years, even after this day. This laptop feels fast for normal productivity. It boots quickly, it wakes instantly, stays responsive, and handles multitasking better than a lot of Windows laptops that are technically newer. And for creators, this is where it gets interesting. If you're editing 1080p video, YouTube content, social clips, podcasts, thumbnails, basic Lightroom work, this machine is very capable. So for like lighter creator workloads, it absolutely 100% gets the job done. But here's the thing about that. Capable is not the same thing as future-proof, because once you start pushing this into like heavier 4K timelines, like larger raw photo libraries, like more demanding motion graphics, heavier multitasking, or workflows with multiple external displays, that's where you start running into the limits. That's where you start running into the limits of this compared to the newer MacBook Pros. And that's especially true if you're looking at the 8GB model, which is what I use. If you upgrade to the 16GB model, you'll be much more safer when it comes to that stuff, especially like the rendering of, the video and like the 4K timelines, stuff like that. A 16GB model, W. For the everyday user of documents, Chrome, YouTube, music, blah, 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 8GB, more than efficient. And this is exactly why the M1 MacBook is such a weird laptop in 2026. Because for the right person, it's still a really smart buy. But for the wrong person, it's kind of a trap. So before I tell you if I would personally buy one, let's talk about the one thing that shocked me most after coming back to this laptop. The most surprising thing about the M1 MacBook Pro isn't that it still works. It's how normal it still feels. That's the crazy part. A lot of 6-year-old tech feels ancient. So it's slower than you remember, clunkier than you remember, obviously worse than you remember. but the M1 MacBook Pro still feels like a modern laptop, especially in most like everyday situations. That honestly is a huge compliment. And honestly, that's probably why this machine has built such a strong reputation. It wasn't just good for its time. It was honestly good enough to stay relevant past its time. Hold on. Now, that doesn't mean that it's perfect. Don't get me wrong. It definitely doesn't mean everybody should go out and buy one. But it does mean Apple absolutely nailed this foundation for the M1 series of the MacBooks. Nailed it. So let's get into the biggest reasons why this laptop makes sense. So 1, the performance is still strong for most people. For everyday productivity and light work, this thing still feels extremely dependable. The battery life still holds up well, which I 100% agree. I mean, I've used mine daily for 6 years and crazy. It still lasts all day long. So even years later, the battery efficiency is one of the biggest dubs here. So if you want a laptop that can still be used away from a charger for a long time, highly recommend. So the overall build still feels extremely premium. I feel like I've said premium like 18,000 times this video. Stroked. Also, this thing can be a great value on the used market. So, and this is where the M1 MacBook Pro gets dangerous, but in a good way. Because if you can find one at the right price, it can still deliver a very strong like Mac experience for way less than buying a new one, especially comparable to the newest MacBook Neo. It would be a rival for me between each one. There's a lot of specs. If you guys want me to do a video comparing the M1 Mac to the Neo, let me know in the comments down below. I will gladly pick one up and then do a comparison. But all the MacBook Neo talk made me realize my M1 MacBook Pro was very comparable to it. So I just didn't feel the need. But if you want to see that comparison, leave a comment. The MacBook OS and the app optimization still feels very smooth. The Apple Silicon efficiency is still doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. We will get into the biggest cons. Now on the other side of the story, the design feels dated. It still has the premium MacBook Pro feeling and everything to the chassis, but the design of it feels dated, especially if you're an aesthetics person. It's not bad. It's just dated. It's got bigger bezels. It's got an older body style, no MagSafe, and the overall look of it doesn't feel current, if that makes sense to you. The 2 ports is annoying, 100%. For a Pro machine, you would think that it would have SD card, USB 3.0, more, maybe 3 Type-Cs. I could go all day. So the limited ports does get old. So this Mac, if you get one, get a dongle. I would go ahead and just add that to the cart as well. So technically the webcam is weak by modern standards. And honestly, Mac's not very good at the webcams anyways. For some reason, they never want to update them to make them like great. They're still good. They're still very usable. But when you use the M1 MacBook Pro compared to the newer Macs, you can definitely tell that is a dated webcam. You can tell it then. It's not horrible, but you can definitely tell. So there are external display limitations. So if you're wanting a MacBook that you're going to be connecting multiple displays to, it's probably not going to be the greatest one for you. I use it with the Samsung Odyssey, like the Q9, the 49-inch ultra wide. So I hook mine up to that all the time when I'm working for when I'm being productive, and it works great with that. Love it, 100% love it. So the base configurations are kind of risky. So the cheap M1 Macs sound great. So the storage isn't the highest, the 8 gigabytes of RAM, and now you're buying a machine that's already closer to the ceiling. So it's not going to be the best buy for power users anymore, and this is important. So just because it performs well doesn't mean it's going to perform well under great loads, especially today. Like our workflows today from 6 years ago are greater, so you have to keep that in mind. So who should actually buy this in 2026? I think the M1 MacBook Pro still makes sense for probably 4 different types of buyers. So first, for students. If you want a solid battery life, build quality, like premium typing, good trackpad, solid performance for like papers, typing, documents, Zoom, everyday work, this thing still makes 100% sense. Second would be like general productivity users. So if you mostly live in like the browsers, emails, docs, spreadsheets, Slack, Teams, like streaming apps, this is going to be more than enough for you as well. Third is going to be light content creators. If you're mostly doing like 1080p edits or social media content, thumbnails, light photo editing, podcast work, and basic creative tasks, you can absolutely still use this. And then fourth would be for people that want a MacBook Pro, but they want to be smart, like budget wise. They want to be smart with it. So if you can find one at like a refurbished price, that would be a solid buy from a reputable seller, though, not Facebook Marketplace. It still works, but you don't see it with the power on. You know what I mean? Just saying. But if you can find one for a discount price, refurbished price, excellent. So let's get into who should skip it. Who should kick it down the road? If you're an aesthetics person, you care a lot about having the new design, the best webcam, the newer display tech, and the longer runway to future proof. And honestly, if the price gap for these is close comparable to a MacBook Pro right now, which not 100%, but if you're lucky, if you're able to find a newer MacBook Pro that's close to the price, because as of right now, I've been finding the M1 MacBook Pros anywhere between $400 and $550 consistently online. So, and that's anywhere from new, refurbished, and like just refurbished, what's that, renewed, like Amazon does the renewed ones. So I haven't looked on Marketplace. You can find good ones on Marketplace if you want to. I'm a big tech guy, so getting laptops from people is hard for me to buy them from someone. Like getting it renewed or refurbished from like an actual manufacturer or like Amazon renews things, I can trust that, and there's like a little warranty that comes along with it. But Marketplace, but if you can find one at a comparable price, I personally would get a new one. Compared to the Neo, like I said, if you want to see a comparison between that and the Neo, let me know down below. I will gladly pick one up, but I'm just saying at this price, I would go for one a little bit cheaper and do the M1 MacBook Pro, because that's a part that a lot of people leave out. The M1 MacBook Pro is only a good buy if it makes sense to you, not just because it has a legendary reputation. So, is the 2020 M1 MacBook Pro still worth it in 2026? Yes, but only for the right buyer. This is still a very good laptop for students, everyday users, light creators, who can get it all for the right price. It still feels very premium. It still performs very well under normal circumstances, under normal workloads, and it still just proves how big of a movement the M1 chip was. But no, I wouldn't call it an automatic best buy for everyone. The older design of it still shows its age if you're an aesthetics person. The 2 ports is the biggest con, is the 2 ports. But like I said, dongles are cheap. You can buy one. I bought one with mine the day I got it, because I was like, oh, that sucks. But anyways, so the webcam is weak. And if you buy the wrong one, like the one with the lower RAM in it, like that can affect it. But like I said, if you're a student, someone that does documentation, spreadsheets, streaming, YouTube, music, slight editing, stuff like that, this thing is solid. I still edit video on this thing. So here's my simple take. If you can find the M1 MacBook Pro for a really good deal and your needs are moderate, it is still 100% absolutely worth considering. But if you're expecting it to feel like a modern day, do everything type of machine in 2026, that's where I would lower the expectations. This is no longer the best MacBook for every day, but it is still a very good MacBook for the right person. And honestly, considering it's been 6 years, that is impressive. So that's my take on the 2020 M1 MacBook Pro in 2026. If you're thinking about buying one, let me know down below the price that you found it for, because that would be awesome and super helpful for anybody else that's watching this video. And I will comment and tell you if I think it's a good deal. And if you want more honest tech reviews, comparisons, and real world buyer's guides, hit that subscribe button, guys. And if you want, like I mentioned earlier, if you want me to do a comparison between the M1 and the new MacBook Neo, let me know too, because I will gladly pick one up and do the comparison video for you guys, because that is where the decisions get really interesting. So thank you guys for watching. My name is Adam James, and I will see you guys in the next one. Deuces.